Welcome to the All Sorts podcast.
Yeah.
Today, we're diving deep into the world of Blender.
Okay.
You know, our listeners sent us a ton of articles,
Okay.
wiki excerpts all about Blender.
Right.
They're really eager to understand just how this free open source software has become such a powerhouse in 3D creation.
Yeah.
It's a story that's inspired countless artists.
It is.
And I think it's safe to say it's shaken up the industry.
Definitely a story of, passion and collaboration, challenging the giants.
Okay, so let's rewind to the beginning.
Okay.
Blender's journey starts in the early 90s in the Netherlands, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
It was the brainchild of Ton Roosendaal at a Dutch animation studio called Neo Geo.
Okay.
And he envisioned this comprehensive 3D creation suite.
Okay.
Blender was initially built as an in-house tool for the studio.
So what were some of the early successes and limitations of Blender at Neo Geo? Did it work well for them?
It did for a while.
Okay.
But Neo Geo, like a lot of ambitious ventures, eventually hit a financial roadblock.
Right.
And this is where the story takes a dramatic turn.
Oh.
Instead of letting Blender fade away, Roosendaal took a bold step in 2002.
Okay.
He founded the nonprofit Blender Foundation with a mission to make Blender open source.
So he essentially gave away his software.
He did.
That seems incredibly risky, especially back then.
Yeah, it was a huge gamble.
Yeah.
But Roosendaal deeply believed in the power of community and open collaboration.
Okay.
There was one major hurdle, though.
Okay.
They needed to buy back the rights to Blender from the investors.
Oh, I see.
And that is where the Free Blender campaign comes in.
So how did this campaign work?
Okay.
Was crowdfunding even a thing back then?
It was just starting to emerge.
Okay.
It's 2002. Roosendaal launches this audacious campaign to raise 100,000 euros.
Wow.
Their goal was to buy back the rights to the software. Okay. And then release Blender under the GNU GPL, making it truly free and open source.
So he put a lot of faith in the community.
He did.
Did they deliver?
They absolutely did.
Wow.
People rallied behind the vision, recognizing the potential of a powerful and accessible 3D creation tool.
Right.
They raised the funds.
That's incredible.
Proving that the hunger for this kind of software was real.
It really speaks to the power of collective effort.
It does.
So we have this inspiring origin story. But what about the software itself?
Okay.
How did Blender stack up against the big players who were already dominating the industry?
Well, this is where Blender's community-driven development really shines.
Okay.
From day one, people were actively involved, constantly suggesting new features, fixing bugs, and just pushing the boundaries of what was possible. This helped Blender stay competitive.
Okay.
And often surpassing expensive commercial software in terms of innovation.
So can you give us some specific examples of features that made Blender stand out?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
One key innovation was Blender's node-based compositing system.
Oh, okay.
It gave artists incredible control over visual effects, allowing them to create complex compositions.
So instead of being limited by preset options, they could really fine-tune every aspect of their work.
Exactly.
Got it.
And then there's the cycles rendering engine, which uses a technique called path tracing to produce incredibly realistic results, simulating how light interacts with materials in the real world.
Wow.
It's been used in everything from indie projects to Hollywood blockbusters.
So Blender wasn't just playing catch-up.
No.
It was pushing the boundaries of what 3D software could do.
Yeah. And a big part of that innovative spirit was fueled by something called Blender's open movie projects.
Open movie projects?
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. What were those all about?
So starting in 2005, the Blender Foundation would announce a new creative project every couple of years.
Okay.
These were films made entirely with Blender.
Wow.
Serving as both a showcase for its capabilities and a way to drive development.
So they were like real-world tests.
Exactly.
Pushing the software to its limits and identifying areas for improvement.
Exactly.
Okay.
But they weren't just tech demos.
Right.
These were high-quality animated films with engaging stories and stunning visuals.
Got it.
Some of the most well-known ones are Elephant's Dream, Big Buck Bunny, and Sintel.
Okay.
These films helped Blender gain recognition and respect within the industry.
It's so smart.
Yeah.
They turned the challenge of proving Blender's worth into these creative opportunities that benefited both the software and the community.
Yeah.
This approach really shows how open source can be a catalyst for innovation.
It can be. The open movie projects became this really powerful way to attract new users, inspire existing ones, and just show the world what Blender could achieve.
Right.
They proved that open source software could compete with the industry giants on a creative level.
So we've got this inspiring origin story, a passionate community, innovative features.
Okay.
But how was all of this financially sustainable?
Right.
You know, if software development takes resources.
It does.
How do they make money?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Blender's financial model is actually quite unique.
Okay.
And it relies on the support of its community and industry partners.
Okay, so let's break it down.
Okay.
What are the main ways Blender keeps the lights on and continues to grow?
Yeah, so one of the main sources of funding is the Blender Development Fund. Okay. It's a subscription service where individuals and companies can contribute directly to support Blender's development.
And who are some of the companies that contribute?
You might be surprised to hear that some major players in the tech world are big supporters.
Okay.
We're talking about companies like Epic Games, NVIDIA, and even AMD.
Okay.
They recognize the value of supporting open source software and see the impact Blender has had on the industry.
That's remarkable.
Yeah.
It shows that Blender has earned the respect not just from artists, but also from the companies building the hardware that powers it.
Exactly.
And then there's the Blender Cloud, right? It's another subscription service that provides Blender users with access to exclusive content and tools, training materials, 3D assets, and even cloud-based rendering services.
All right.
So it's a way for users to support Blender while also getting valuable resources to enhance their workflows.
Exactly.
It sounds like a self-sustaining ecosystem.
It does.
Where every element supports and strengthens the others. That's pretty impressive.
It is.
And, of course, there's also the Blender store.
Oh, right.
Offering Blender-themed merchandise like T-shirts, hoodies, and even the adorable Suzanne monkey head.
Yes.
Suzanne. Tell me more about Suzanne.
Who is she? So Suzanne is Blender's mascot.
Okay.
It's a low-poly monkey head modeled after an orangutan.
Okay.
She's become this iconic symbol of the Blender community, often used as a test model for lighting, materials, and animation.
It's such a quirky and endearing symbol for a software that's changing the industry.
Yeah.
But let's shift gears a bit and talk about Blender's user interface.
Okay.
You know, it's known for being powerful, but also a bit intimidating for newcomers, right?
That's true to some extent.
Okay.
Blender's UI is packed with features, which can feel overwhelming at first.
Yeah.
However, with a bit of practice, it becomes incredibly efficient and customizable.
So what's it like to actually navigate Blender's interface? What should someone expect when they first open it up?
Imagine a workspace that's completely modular.
Okay.
You can arrange windows, panels, and toolbars in any way that suits your workflow.
Okay.
And Blender relies heavily on hotkeys, which can seem daunting at first.
Yeah.
But once you learn them, they speed up your workflow tremendously.
So it's like learning a new language.
Yeah.
There's an initial learning curve, but the rewards are worth the effort.
They are.
Got it.
And over the years, Blender's interface has gone through significant improvements.
Okay.
Version 2.80, which was released in 2019, brought a major overhaul, making the UI more user-friendly and visually appealing.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
So they're actively working on making Blender more accessible while still retaining its power and flexibility.
Absolutely.
And speaking of power, one of Blender's fantastic features is modifiers. These are non-destructive effects that you can apply to your 3D models.
Yeah.
Non-destructive.
Okay.
Could you explain what that means?
Yeah, it means you can experiment with different effects without permanently altering your original model.
Oh, yeah.
For example, you can smooth out your model, round off edges, or add details. You can tweak these modifiers, turn them on and off, and even rearrange them in a stack.
So it's like having a safety net.
It is.
Allowing you to be bold with your experimentation, knowing you can always revert back to the original.
Right.
That's great for both beginners and experienced artists.
Exactly.
And let's not forget about sculpting.
Oh, yeah.
Blender has some pretty impressive tools for digital sculpting, right?
You bet.
Okay.
Blender offers something called multi-resolution sculpting, which means you can sculpt high-resolution details onto a low-resolution model.
I see.
It also includes features like dynamic topology,
which allows you to add or remove geometry as you sculpt, and baking, which bakes the high-resolution details onto a low-res model for optimization.
So even if you're not a master sculptor, Blender gives you the tools to create incredible details.
It does.
Okay.
And then there's the grease pencil.
Grease pencil? Yeah. That sounds almost old school.
It does.
Yeah.
The name might evoke images of traditional animation, but grease pencil is far from outdated.
Okay.
It allows you to draw directly in the 3D viewport, creating 2D animations that seamlessly blend with your 3D environment.
So you can mix 2D and 3D, which opens up some really interesting creative possibilities.
Exactly.
Okay.
It's been used in professional animated films.
Wow.
And it's a favorite tool for storyboarding and creating animatics.
Okay, cool.
And to top it off, Blender has a built-in video editor called the Video Sequence Editor, or VSE.
So you can edit animations, add effects.
And even composite different elements all within Blender.
Yeah, that's right.
That's incredible.
It's a true all-in-one solution for 3D creation, which is another reason why it's so popular.
This is all pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It's clear to see why Blender has such a devoted following. They've managed to create this powerful, versatile, and accessible tool that rivals and, in some cases, surpasses the giants of the industry.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up part one, I'm curious, how has Blender impacted the industry as a whole? You mentioned earlier that it forced commercial software companies to rethink their strategies.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that a bit more?
Of course.
Okay.
Blender's success has been a wake-up call for traditional 3D software companies. You know, when a free and open source software starts attracting top talent and delivering industry standard results, it makes you question the value proposition of those expensive proprietary licenses.
So it's this healthy dose of competition.
It is.
Pushing everyone to be better.
Yeah.
Okay.
This competition benefits users in a few key ways.
Okay.
Firstly, commercial companies have had to become more user-friendly. They can't afford to be clunky and intimidating when a free alternative is constantly improving. And secondly, it's put pressure on pricing. Blender's existence has made it harder to justify exorbitant fees for 3D software, leading to more affordable options and subscription-based models.
So Blender has truly democratized creativity.
It has.
Leveling the playing field for artists and creators around the world.
Absolutely.
And its impact goes beyond professionals. Blender is now a staple in education, making 3D creation accessible to students who might not have had the opportunity otherwise. It's empowering a new generation of artists and designers.
It is.
That's a perfect note to end part one of our Blender deep dive. We've uncovered its fascinating origin story, explored its key features, and touched on its wider impact on the industry. Join us in part two, where we'll explore how Blender is being used across various industries.
Sounds good.
And delve deeper into its vibrant community and culture. See you there.
See you then. Welcome back to the All Sorts podcast.
You know, we're thrilled you're joining us for part two of our Blender deep dive. You know, in the last part, we uncovered Blender's fascinating journey from an in-house tool to a global phenomenon fueled by a passionate community and a commitment to open source.
That's right.
We also explored some of its standout features, like the node-based compositing system, the cycles rendering engine, and that versatile grease pencil tool. And we touched on how Blender has shaken up the industry, pushing commercial software companies to become more user-friendly and offer more competitive pricing. Now, let's zoom in and see how Blender is making its mark in specific industries. Starting with the world of filmmaking.
Sounds good.
So Blender in Hollywood. Is it actually being used to create those big-budget blockbusters we see in theaters?
You might be surprised to learn just how prevalent Blender has become in film production.
Really?
While it may not be the primary tool in every studio, it's increasingly being used for specific tasks, often alongside more established software.
Give us some examples of how Blender fits into those professional workflows.
So one area where Blender really shines is pre-visualization, or previs for short.
Previs.
Yeah.
Okay.
It involves creating rough 3D versions of scenes before filming begins.
So it's like a digital storyboard.
Exactly.
Helping directors map out shots, camera movements, and the overall flow of a scene.
Exactly.
Okay.
Blender's ease of use and fast rendering times make it perfect for previs. It allows filmmakers to experiment and iterate quickly, visualizing complex scenes before committing to expensive sets and shoots.
Wow, so that makes sense.
And guess what? It's been used for previs on some pretty big films.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like Captain America, The Winter Soldier.
Wow.
And Warcraft.
Those are some heavy hitters.
They are.
That's really impressive.
Yeah.
But what about actual animation?
Okay.
Has Blender been used to create full-fledged animated films?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Next Gen.
Okay.
A 2018 sci-fi animated film released on Netflix was entirely created in Blender by Tangent Animation.
Okay.
And that's not an isolated case.
Right.
Several other animated features like Kluma Pharaohs from Argentina and Cinderella the Cat from Italy also relied on Blender for their animation.
So it's not just for indie passion projects anymore.
Right.
Blender is proving its capabilities in professional animation pipelines.
It is. And let's not forget about visual effects, or VFX.
Right, VFX.
Yeah.
Okay.
Blender's powerful compositing and simulation tools have made it a valuable asset for crafting stunning visual effects that blend seamlessly with live action footage.
Do you have any examples of films that used Blender for VFX work?
Yeah, so the 2016 film Hardcore Henry, known for its groundbreaking first-person perspective, used Blender extensively for both CGI and compositing.
Wow.
It allowed them to create realistic and immersive effects that heightened the film's intensity.
Cool.
Another great example is the sci-fi film Prospect, starring Pedro Pascal. They leveraged Blender for much of their impressive VFX work, demonstrating its versatility and power in a visually stunning way.
Okay, so Blender is clearly making waves in the film world.
It is.
Both behind the scenes and on the screen. What about video games?
Okay.
Is Blender a viable tool for game development?
That's a question that comes up often.
It does.
While Blender itself isn't a game engine, it's an incredibly powerful tool for creating game assets.
Okay.
Things like 3D models, environments, characters, and even animations.
So you'd create those assets in Blender and then import them into a dedicated game engine to build the actual game.
Exactly. And thankfully, many popular game engines, including Unity Unreal Engine and Godot, work seamlessly with Blender. This allows developers to leverage Blender's modeling, sculpting, and animation tools while using a dedicated game engine for the interactive elements.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So even if you're not building the entire game in Blender, it can still be a crucial part of the development pipeline.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And its affordability and ease of use have made it a favorite among indie game developers.
Okay.
They can create high-quality assets without breaking the bank, allowing them to bring their creative visions to life.
So Blender is democratizing not just filmmaking, but also game development. It's really leveling the playing field for independent creators across these industries.
It is.
And its impact reaches far beyond these creative fields.
It does.
Blender is also being used in areas like architectural visualization, product design, and even scientific research.
Wow.
Those are some diverse applications.
They are.
I could definitely see how Blender would be useful in architectural visualization.
Right.
You'd be using it to create 3D models of buildings and spaces, right?
Precisely.
Okay.
Architects and interior designers can create photorealistic renderings of their designs, giving clients immersive virtual tours of spaces before they're even built.
It's such a powerful tool for communication and visualization.
It is.
And what about product design?
Okay.
How's Blender being used there?
In product design, Blender's modeling and sculpting tools allow designers to create detailed 3D representations of their concepts. They can experiment with different designs, materials, and even create animations to showcase how the product functions.
So it's a cost-effective way to prototype and refine designs before going into production.
Yeah, it streamlines the design process and allows for more creative exploration. And then there's the scientific research aspect, which is particularly fascinating.
Yes, tell us more about how scientists are utilizing Blender.
Scientists are using Blender for a wide range of applications. It's being used to create visualizations of complex data sets, model scientific phenomena, and develop 3D animations for educational purposes. Even NASA has used Blender to create interactive web application and 3D models related to their missions.
Blender is literally reaching for the stars.
It is.
It's amazing to see its impact across so many diverse fields.
It really speaks to Blender's versatility and the power of open source software to transcend traditional boundaries.
But let's shift gears for a moment. Talk about the heart of Blender, its community. We've mentioned it a few times, but I want to explore it in more depth. What makes this community so special? The Blender community is often praised as one of its greatest strengths. What's it like to be a part of this community? What makes it stand out?
Imagine this. You're brand new to Blender, feeling overwhelmed by all the features and options. You head over to the Blender Artists Forum, and within minutes, you're met with friendly advice, helpful tutorials, and words of encouragement from experienced Blender users.
It sounds incredibly supportive and welcoming.
It is. And it's not just for beginners. Seasoned Blender veterans are also active in the community, sharing their knowledge, contributing to open source projects, and even organizing events to bring Blender enthusiasts together.
Are there any specific events that stand out?
Yeah. So the Blender Conference, or BSicon, is the biggest annual event for Blender fans. It's a multi-day gathering packed with workshops, presentations, and social events. Drawing artists, developers, and industry professionals from all corners of the globe.
It sounds like a fantastic opportunity to connect, learn, and celebrate all things Blender.
It is. And it's a testament to the vibrancy and passion within this community. And beyond these big gatherings, online spaces play a huge role in connecting Blender users.
What are some of the online platforms where Blender users connect?
So the Blender Artists Forum is a central hub for discussions, tutorials, and even job postings. There are countless Blender-focused groups on social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and Reddit. It's constant stream of inspiration advice and friendly banter.
So the Blender community extends far beyond the software itself.
It does.
It's about shared passions. Creative collaboration, and the belief in open source ideals. It's a testament to the power of collective effort.
It is.
And the idea that knowledge should be accessible to everyone. And this collaborative spirit has led to the creation of some truly remarkable things. Like those open movie projects we discussed earlier. They're a prime example of what a community can achieve when they work together towards a common goal. But there are countless other projects, tools, and resources freely shared within the community. It's a constant cycle of giving back and pushing the boundaries of what's possible with Blender.
It's truly inspiring to see how a community can come together to create something so remarkable. It reminds us that the future of creativity doesn't have to be driven solely by corporate interests. It can be shaped by passion collaboration and a desire to make the world a more creative place.
Beautifully said.
Thank you.
And that brings us to the end of part 2 of our Blender Deep Dive. Join us in part 3. Where we'll explore some of the challenges and controversies surrounding Blender and look ahead to its exciting future.
Sounds good.
Welcome back to the All Sorts podcast for the final part of our Blender Deep Dive. We've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
From Blender's humble beginnings to its impact on various industries and its thriving community.
It's been quite a journey.
It has.
Hasn't it?
You know, we've seen how Blender has democratized 3D creation, empowering artists, and shaking up the industry with its open source approach.
Definitely.
It's a truly inspiring story.
It is.
But let's get a bit critical for a moment. No software is perfect. And Blender has faced its share of challenges over the years. What are some of the hurdles it's had to overcome?
One ongoing challenge is sustainability. While Blender has done an incredible job securing funding through initiatives like the Development Fund, maintaining a consistent revenue stream is essential for its long-term health.
Especially when you're supporting a team of full-time developers. And driving ambitious projects like those incredible open movies. that makes sense.
And this reliance on donations and subscriptions can sometimes create uncertainty.
Right.
It also means that certain features or improvements might be prioritized over others based on funding availability.
Okay, so it's a balancing act between community needs development goals and financial realities.
That's right.
What about competition?
Okay.
The 3D software landscape is constantly evolving.
It is.
How does Blender stay ahead of the curve when commercial companies have so many resources?
That's a key consideration.
Yeah.
Blender's open source nature is both its greatest strength and a potential vulnerability.
Okay.
On the one hand, it allows for rapid innovation with a global community contributing to its development.
Right. But on the other hand, commercial companies can invest heavily in R&D, recruit top talent, and roll out new features quickly.
Exactly.
So Blender has to be strategic, focusing on areas where it can truly excel and offer something unique.
Okay.
Staying nimble, innovative, and responsive to the needs of its community is crucial.
Absolutely.
It's like a constant dance.
Yeah.
Adapting and evolving to stay relevant in a competitive landscape.
Right.
And speaking of adaptation, we talked earlier about how Blender's user interface can be intimidating for newcomers.
That's a common perception.
Right.
And it's something the Blender Foundation has been working on for years.
Yeah.
While the UI has become more user-friendly over time, it still has a steeper learning curve than some commercial options.
So finding that balance between power flexibility and ease of use is an ongoing challenge.
It is. They've made progress with features like the Everything Nodes system in version 3.0, which makes complex workflows more accessible.
Okay.
But it's a constant process of refinement and improvement.
Right, and it's a challenge made even more complex by the fact that Blender is constantly evolving. With each new release comes a new set of features to learn and master.
Exactly.
But that's also part of what keeps Blender so exciting.
Yes.
It's a software that's always pushing boundaries. So there's always something new to discover and explore.
Absolutely.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Yeah.
But even with those challenges, it's clear that Blender has had a profound impact on the world of 3D creation.
It has.
It's democratized access to professional-grade tools and fostered a culture of collaboration and open sharing.
Absolutely.
So what's next for Blender? What trends and developments do you see shaping its future?
One area that's particularly exciting is real-time rendering and collaboration as technology advances. The lines between traditional 3D workflows and real-time experiences are blurring. Blender, with its powerful EV rendering engine, is poised to be a leader in this space.
So we could see Blender being used to create interactive experiences, virtual worlds, even real-time film production.
Exactly.
And the rise of cloud computing opens up possibilities for collaborative workflows, where artists could work together on the same Blender project in real time. No matter where they are in the world.
Absolutely.
That would be a game changer for collaborative projects.
It would.
And what about virtual reality?
Okay.
We touched on it earlier.
Yeah.
Do you see Blender playing a bigger role in the VR world?
Absolutely. VR and AR are becoming increasingly mainstream. And Blender is already being used to create VR experiences and 3D assets for these immersive technologies. As the hardware becomes more accessible and the demand for VR content grows, I think we'll see Blender become an even more integral part of the VR creative process.
Imagine sculpting, animating, and even directing in VR.
Yeah.
It sounds like the future of creativity is wide open.
It is.
And let's not forget artificial intelligence.
Oh, right, AI.
AI is already making its way into various aspects of 3D creation, and I think it's only a matter of time before we see more AI-powered tools integrated into Blender.
That's fascinating.
AI could streamline workflows, automate tedious tasks, and even open up new creative possibilities that we haven't even imagined yet.
Yeah, exactly.
It's an area ripe for innovation.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see how Blender embraces these emerging technologies.
Me too.
It's clear that Blender is constantly evolving, adapting, and pushing the boundaries of what's possible in 3D creation.
It is.
And that's all thanks to the passionate community and dedicated developers who continue to drive it forward.
Blender's journey is a testament to the power of open source.
It is.
Collaboration and a shared passion for creativity.
Absolutely.
And it's a story that's still being written.
What an inspiring journey it's been.
Yeah.
The story of Blender shows us what's possible when a community rallies behind a shared vision.
It does.
This deep dive has been a true testament to the power of open source creativity and the incredible things that can happen when talented individuals come together with a shared passion.
Absolutely.
And it's a reminder that everyone has the potential to contribute to something truly remarkable.
It is.
Whether you're a seasoned artist, a curious beginner, or simply someone who appreciates the power of open source, there's a place for you in the Blender community. If you've been as inspired by this deep dive as we have, why not spread the inspiration? Share this episode with your friends. Leave a review on your favorite podcast platform. And subscribe to the All Sorts podcast for more insightful and engaging deep dives. You can find us on YouTube, follow us on X, Instagram, and Threads. And don't forget to check out our other episodes for even more fascinating explorations into all sorts of topics that spark curiosity and ignite the imagination.
Absolutely.
Until next time, keep exploring. Keep creating.
Keep creating.
And keep the spirit of open source alive.
See you next time.